So I am filming this video for the second time today because in my last filming there was so much background noise that I couldn't even handle it. So I'm filming again. Filming problems for sure. It's Maddie and today I'll be doing my wrap up for November and my TBR for December. Last month in November I only read 2 books, but if you saw my TBR for November, I did say that I was only really planning to read 2 books in November because it was NaNoWriMo, and I knew that I was going to spend the majority of my time writing instead of reading, so I only stuck to 2 books. That's why I'm not very upset that I only read 2 books this month, because I had planned to only read 2 books this month. So I do have 2 books I read this month. One of the books was on my original TBR, the other was not, because it's a library book and I had to read it like ASAP. So I stuck to my original TBR for the most part. There's just one book that I did read out of the 2 books I had originally planned to read for November, and one of them I did change. So without further ado, let's just get started. And so for the statistics of this month, I read 2 books. One was a contemporary book and one was a dystopian book. I had 1 4-star book and 1 5-star book, and I forgot to count the amount of pages I read for the whole month, but it'll be on the screen somewhere. And really, it's probably not even impressive because it was literally not a lot of pages because I only read 2 books this month. So let's just get into the wrap up. And as always, I'll be doing this wrap up in order of my least favorite book of the month to my most favorite book of the month. So let's just get started. So first, I have Holding Up the Universe by Jennifer Niven. This is a library book I got because my mom let me request a book from the library through her card. So I picked this one because I have been really excited to read it, and I really ended up enjoying it. This book is about a girl named Libby, and she was deemed America's fattest teen after her mom died, and she went through kind of a depression which resulted to her overeating, so she gained a lot of weight. And when she was 13, she ended up having a panic attack, and because she was too big to get out of her house had to be cut open and she had to be carried out by a crane to get to the hospital. And after that incident, she ended up losing some weight, and after she lost that weight, she decided to go to public school because she's been homeschooled, I think, most of her life. So she finally goes to public school, but despite the fact that she's lost weight, she's still getting bullied because she's still overweight. I believe she weighs between like 250 to 300 pounds when she before weighed about 650 pounds. So she's still getting picked on for her weight. And the other character in this book is Jack, and he has this condition where he cannot recognize people's faces. He knows the person, but when he goes to see them again, he doesn't know who they are because he can't recognize their face. He has to look for identifiers in the person to try to recognize them, but it's still really difficult. And no one knows about this condition because he doesn't really want to tell anyone, and it's something he feels really insecure about. So these characters end up meeting, and they kind of get into a friendship, and then they start a relationship, and they grow closer together because they both share a lot of insecurities, so they can really relate to each other. And it's just a really cute story that I really enjoyed. Though I did enjoy this, I didn't think it was as good as All the Bright Places, which is Jennifer Niven's other book that I read last month and I really loved. I give it a 5 out of 5 stars. This one I didn't love as much. It didn't give me the same amount of feels that All the Bright Places was, but it was still a really good book. I really like the main characters, Libby and Jack, in it. They were both really interesting. I could relate to Libby a lot because she has anxiety, and I deal with anxiety a lot too, and I could also relate to her because she is overweight, and I've struggled with weight for a long time, so I can really relate to her in 2 ways. So in that way, I just really enjoyed her character because she was really relatable to me. And I also really enjoyed Jack because his brain disorder was so interesting. I had never heard about this disorder before, so it was so cool to learn about. And this book is told in dual perspectives, so a lot of characters are told in Jack's perspective, and it was just so interesting seeing the world through his eyes while living in this condition where he can't recognize faces. I just really loved his chapters. Even though he was a bully, actually, he was a really big jerk, but he really grew throughout this book. He grew for the better, so I just really enjoyed his character overall. The writing, as always, was amazing. I really love Jennifer Niven's writing. I think she's such a good writer, and I think the writing in this book was just as good as it was in All the Bright Places. The one major thing I had a problem with, though, is I didn't really love the romance in this book. I feel like it wasn't really well developed. For me, I saw the main characters more as just really good friends because I don't think their romance developed enough, in my opinion. So that's the only thing I really have to say for this book. I wish the romance would have been more developed, but I loved everything else about it. I highly recommend it, and I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. And next I have Remember Yesterday by Pinto Dunn, and this is the second book in the Get Tomorrow trilogy. I think it's going to be a trilogy. There's another book coming out, which I'm super excited for. And I was sent this by Entangled Teen, so thank you so much, Entangled Teen, for sending this to me. I didn't expect to get it, but I was so happy when I did because I was so eager to continue on with the series because it is seriously so good. So the first book, Forget Tomorrow, is about a world where when you turn 17, you are able to receive a future memory from your future self, telling you what your job is going to be, who you're going to marry, just how your life is going to be. So Callie, who's the main character in Forget Tomorrow, turns 17 and she's eligible to receive her future memory. But the problem is that her future memory is of her killing her younger sister. So because of this, she is deemed a criminal before she even commits this crime and put in a jail facility. And all the while throughout this book, she's trying to figure out why she killed her sister. And she's also finding out more things about this world that she didn't know before. And she runs into a lot of conflict throughout this book. I love this series. It's one of the best dystopian series I've ever read, I feel like. This book in particular, the sequel, is not told in Callie's point of view. It's told in the point of view of her sister, which when I found that out, I was actually really happy about. And normally when a book series switches point of view, I kind of get irritated because I'm so used to the original point of view. But I fell in love with Callie's sister in the first book, so when I heard about her point of view being told in this book, I didn't mind it at all. I was actually really looking forward to it. And I loved Jess's point of view a lot. Her and Callie are a lot alike, and I both just enjoyed their point of view, so I had no problem with the point of view in this book at all, even though it was told in a different character's perspective. I loved all the new characters in this book too. I loved Jess's love interest, and the romance was done so well. The one thing I really appreciate about Pinto Dunn is she is so good at developing romance, and romantic development is so important to me in books, and I find that a lot of books aren't really good at it sometimes. So the fact that she was able to develop such a good romance for a second time, because the romance in Forget Tomorrow was so well developed too, I just really appreciated it. And I think she's just really good in that alley of developing romance. Even though this is a dystopian series, the romance was just done so well as well. So I really enjoyed that about it. And I really like the plot that was happening in this book. This series deals with a lot of time travel, and I am obsessed with books dealing with time travel. So I just really enjoyed how the plot was going in this book just as much as I enjoyed the plot in Forget Tomorrow. And overall, I just didn't really have any problems with this book. So I give it a 5 out of 5 stars. I would really recommend this series. And I will be getting a review out for this book probably next week, so you can look out for that if you are interested in this series. And I'll also link the review video I have up for the first book, Forget Tomorrow, somewhere on the screen, so you can check that out if you are interested. So that was my wrap up for November. Next, I will be getting into my December TBR. I have a lot of good books to show, so let's just get started. The first book I have is a rollover from last month. This was on my November TBR, but I didn't end up getting to it, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, and that is Infinity by Jess Accardo. This is another book that Entangled Teen sent me, so I wanted to get to it as soon as possible so I can get it up for review. I didn't end up getting to it last month, which is really bad, so I'm going to get to it this month and hopefully have a review of it up either next week or the week after. And this is a sci-fi book, which kind of worries me because I am not a fan of sci-fi whatsoever. I do not like reading sci-fi at all. I've tried reading sci-fi books and I just can't get into them. But I read the synopsis of this book and it has to do with dual dimension, which sounds really cool. I've never heard about a book dealing with dual dimension or read anything about it. So that fact really interests me. So I have pretty high hopes for this one. It'll either be a hit or miss for me, but I'm willing to give it a try even though it is sci-fi and see how it goes. So I'm excited to get to this one. The next book I have is a book that I am actually currently reading. I am about 25% the way through. I'm liking it. It's not amazing, but hopefully I'll get more into it, and that is The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. I've heard so much about this book. I wanted to read this book so I can see the movie, but I think the movie is not playing in theaters anymore, and I don't think the DVD is out yet, so that's a problem. I won't even get to watch the movie right after I finish this book. Didn't think that through at all, but anyway, I am enjoying this book. I think it's okay so far. This book is about a woman who commutes to London every day for work, and every day the train passes this house where a couple lives, and she seems to be really interested in this couple. She's given them names, and she's like told about their life, predicted their life, and is just really obsessed with them for some reason. So it's just a really thrillery type of book, and I love thriller books, so hopefully I'll get more into this one. We'll just have to see. Right now I'm just kind of like iffy about it, but we'll just see how it goes, and I will get back into this one. I'm planning to later this week. Next I have Shatter Me by Tahira Mafi. This is a dystopian book that I've had on my TBR for ages, and I just need to get to, and I'm really excited to get to it this month. This is a book about a girl who, when she touches someone, they die, literally, so that is a big problem. So she can't touch anyone, otherwise that person will die, and it just sounds really interesting. I've heard a lot of good things about it, and I'm looking forward to finally reading it this month. I'm planning to get to it early this month, and hopefully it'll be great. I have heard mixed things, but for the most part I've heard it's pretty good, and I'm excited to start it. The next book I have is another library book that my mom recommended to me, so she borrowed it from the library and then let me borrow it. So I decided, why not? I'll give it a try, and that is Ashfall by Mike Mullen. I don't know a lot about what this book is about. All I know is it is about an apocalypse. It's either about a zombie apocalypse, a vampire apocalypse. No, it's not a vampire apocalypse. I don't know. But it is about some kind of apocalypse. And the thing that seems promising about it is at the top it was blurred by Michael Grant, and Michael Grant is the author of one of my favorite series ever, which is Gone, the Gone series. So I have a lot of faith in this book because of that, and hopefully it'll be something I'll enjoy, but I kind of think it will because me and my mom have very similar tastes, and she loved this book, so I'm excited to give it a try and see what it's all about. Next, I have a book that I've been really excited to read, and that is Heartless by Marissa Meyer. I heard a lot about Marissa Meyer. She's the author of the Lunar Chronicles series, which I have not started yet, and I really, really want to. And I'm planning to get to it sometime in the future. I don't know when, but sometime, because I'm really interested in that series. But this is her newest release, and this book is a retelling of the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland, but it is about her life before she became the Queen of Hearts, and it just sounds so intriguing. I'm really interested to see how this story is going to play out, and just really excited to read it. I'm such a fan of retellings, and I really want to read more of them, and I heard that Marissa Meyer's retellings are phenomenal, so really looking forward to reading this one. And for one, the book is just so visually appealing. I love the cover of this, and it just looks so beautiful, and I'm just really looking forward to reading it. Next book I have is one of my most anticipated books of this year, and I'm kind of surprised I haven't gotten to it yet because I've been really anticipating it, and that is The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. Nicola Yoon is the author of Everything Everything, her debut novel that she released last year, and I read it last year and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was so cute, so I've been really looking forward to The Sun Is Also a Star, and it's finally out, so I am ready to read it this month. This book is a romantic contemporary, and that's all I pretty much really know about it. But even without really knowing a lot about it, I still am really excited to read it because it's by Nicola Yoon, and I loved Everything, so I have really high hopes for this one, and hopefully it will be great. And this is another cover that is just so beautiful. All the covers is just so beautiful, so I'm just really excited to read this one. The next book I have is another book I recently got, and that is Our Chemical Hearts by Crystal Sutherland. This is another contemporary romance book, and that I also don't know a lot about. But the fact that it's a contemporary book really excites me because that's my favorite genre, so I'm sure I'll at least like it, maybe love it. We'll see how that goes. And this is another cover. I swear I have so many covers on this TBR that I think are absolutely beautiful. But I love this cover because it looks like the fish are popping out of the page because it looks kind of 3D. It's so cool. So I'm excited to read this one and see what it is all about, and hopefully I will enjoy it. And the last book I have is a book that's been on so many TBRs and I still haven't gotten to it, and it's ridiculous, and I promise that this will be the last time I'll be putting it on the TBR because I'm going to get to it this month, and it's going to happen because it is driving me insane. And that book is Hollow City by Ransom Briggs. This is the second book in the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series. I read Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children last year and I loved it, and it's just ridiculous how I haven't gotten to the sequel yet, or the third book, because I loved the first book so much. The series is pretty popular along with the movie coming out, so I'm sure a lot of you know about it, but if you haven't, the first book is about a boy who has always heard these stories of these children with superpowers, abilities from his grandfather, and he finally gets really curious about them, so he goes to visit the home where they are, and he ends up traveling back into the past in the 40s and meets them there. And this is a really cool series. It's, at first I thought it was a horror book, but it's more of an adventure book. It still has that very eerie aspect to it throughout the book, like that really eerie feeling you get while reading it, but it's more of an adventure story. It is so good, it's so entertaining, so I really need to get to the sequel, and I'm going to get to it this month. I'm making a commitment to get to it, and then if I do get to it, hopefully, I will read A Library of Souls, the third book, next month, and finally finish the series because I really need to, and I'm really excited to read the sequel finally, hopefully this month. So that was my TBR for December, but we're not done yet. As always, I'm going to get into my TBR jar. I didn't do the TBR jar last month because it was NaNoWriMo, and I wanted to give priority to the books that I really wanted to read because I didn't have time to read a third book. So I am excited to get back into the TBR jar because I missed it last month, and let's see what book I pick and we'll read this month. Okay, so the book I picked was The Program. I don't really remember what this book is about. I've heard a lot about it, but I don't remember what it's about. So either way, I'm looking forward to reading it, seeing what it is about. I think it's kind of a dystopian-ish kind of book, so we'll just have to see how it is, and hopefully I will enjoy it and the TBR jar won't let me down this time. That was my TBR for December and my wrap-up for November. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I also have another announcement of a new channel that I created just a few days ago. It's a cover channel where I'll be doing music covers and guitar covers, singing covers, and all of that. If that's something you're interested in, then I'll leave a link to the channel down below so you can check it out and possibly subscribe. I would really appreciate that. I'll be posting 2 videos a week every Monday and Friday of new covers. So if you're interested in that, check it out, and if you subscribe, thank you so much because that would mean a lot to me. So if you do check it out, I hope you enjoy it. And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below for more bookish related videos and monthly wrap-ups and TBRs. And I'll be back really soon. Bye.